All
Okay.
gold, man. You are a pro. We are all with you and in love. Uh, so the question was, how did I get into Hollywood? It's a weird story. Like my background, I grew up in Bakersfield, California. I was a different kid in school. I had alopecia, so my hair would fall out. And I was like, at the time in Bakersfield, if you were white and bald, you either had cancer or you were a skinhead. And it was none of that. Where I was like, what? I just like horror and Dungeons and Dragons. But because of Dungeons and Dragons, that's how I got into acting. I went to college for acting. I got into improv comedy when I was 17. So a lot of my pals now have gone. They're like Whose Line Is It guys, or the creators of Rick and Morty. Like everyone's kind of blown up in their own different areas, which is really wild. Eventually moved to Los Angeles to pursue the acting career. And my first Hollywood audition was for Universal Studios' live Wild 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 West stunt show. And they would take actors and cross-train them to do stunts, and stunt people and cross-train them to act. And I was always been an actor, and I had like a background in like family martial arts, like with karate or taekwondo. So I became friends with a lot of the stunt guys there, and they got to the point where they're, hey, we're gonna go do air ram, or we're gonna learn, fight scenes, or we're gonna go. I'm like, they asked me to join them, and we became friends, and I started building a skill set and a name doing acting and stunts. It got to the point where I realized, oh, wait, if I worked out, I could be like the big bad guy in TV and film. So I started taking every martial arts style that I could. I was that guy setting my alarm at 3 a.m. where I'd go off and have like a protein drink where I'm like, need to put more weight on, gotta be menacing, just committing to it 100%. But before all of that, when I was in college at one point, the weird kind of full circle is, a friend of mine, before I even thought about doing stunts or act or anything professionally, a friend of mine was like, hey, I know the stunt coordinator guy. He's looking for unique guys, and they're going to film this little like low budget movie in Los Angeles. And like I sent your picture, like, do you want to come do this? I have no experience in film whatsoever. And I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. But it turned out to be Robert Kirkman, who is the K in K and B, the Kirkman, which is wild because the movie was called The Demolitionist, and it's with Nicole Eggert and Richard Grieco, and I got to rob a bank with Richard Grieco, which is me being, what? This is crazy. How did I get here? Richard Grieco? We've made it. Sorry. But the weird thing at the time, Greg Nicotero is a part of it, Tom Savini, Bruce Campbell did a cameo in it because being that he was the K in K and B, he was calling in a lot of favors. So weird full circle to years later when I'm in Hollywood and I'm working for K and B, and Robert has since left the group. He was coming in to say hi, and I was like, wait a second. You were my director for the very first thing I ever did. And we totally like mind blown. But my big first Hollywood movie I ever did, I was hired for Wild Wild West with Will Smith. I was the big metalhead guy inside the giant spider where everyone's like, how did he die? We don't know how you died. I'm like, I short-circuited. But I was super nervous, and I had to fight Will, and I was like, I don't want to hurt anybody. Am I doing this right? And at the time, Will was like the nicest dude in the world. See, you tell me, Derek, what's your favorite color? Back when I was 4, just answer the question. Sorry.
All good. All good. So, had you been a big Friday the 13th fan before you were cast as Jason?
Oh, 100%. As a child, before being an actor, I'm a huge horror nut. And the two things that gave me the most nightmares as a child, one, I'm going to age myself, was the Bigfoot from $6 Million Man, which was Andre the Giant, and Jason Voorhees. We had a cabin at the time where anytime you would go anywhere, they were like, that's where they filmed Crystal Lake. It actually was here. They changed the name. I'm like, what? Why are we here? And I was such a straight-laced kid where black and white, where I'm like, this makes no sense. If this happened, there's a killer. Why is no one afraid? Like, what do we need to get the police here? Like, why? Because I took it for real. But I had so many nightmares on loving Jason. So as an adult, when I got cast as Jason, it was such a mind trip to me that I now got to have that trauma that I received as a child. I get to pass that trauma on to a whole new generation, like a true gentleman. So it's still surreal to this day that I've got to play the character.
Absolutely. Would you say getting the role of Jason was like just right place, right time, or was there some conversations that happened that kind of got you in the right position where they said, this is our guy?
After I shot the film, I asked the producer, I go, hey, how did you land on me? Can I ask, because they only brought a couple, like only 2 of us in for the audition. I thought there'd be like, hundreds of people up for the role. And what I was told was they asked a bunch of different industry professionals. They go, this time they've written, Jason before has been more of an entity or an essence. And the writers, or let me back up. He's been more of an entity or an essence, and the reason that we watch Friday films is for Jason because we like Jason, but he's never been written as an actual character. So for the reboot, the mission was that the writers go, oh, we want to write him a character arc, so he starts one and he changes, which has never happened before, and we need someone who's a professional actor, but also who can survive the prosthetics and do the stunt work. And so they asked a bunch of different industry professionals, going like, hey, this is what we're looking for, who would you recommend? And my name kept popping up in all these different circles. Like one of them was Greg Nicotero, where he put my name in and going, that's the guy you want. And that's how I got hired to be Jason, which is, to this day, eternally grateful.
Absolutely. It's interesting, too, with the filming location for the 2009 film, because they went to Texas,
Yep.
whereas the earlier films were made in the Northeast between New Jersey, Connecticut. Then they moved out to California and a couple states down south. But Texas was interesting because of the very rural area and everything. What was your experience like on down there in Texas when they were filming?
Hot. Very, very hot. A heat wave came in, and I think it was like 110 during the days. And even at night, you would sweat. Like I was shooting like almost every scene, and it's fight, 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 fight. The crazy thing was that our hotel was right across the street from a P.F. Chang's. And so I would work all night long, and I even committed to the point where, if you watch like my fingernails and you zoom in on my fingernails, I didn't put prosthetic fingernails on because we'd have to chase them in the forest and they would pop off when I grab people or whatever. 'Cause I've done so much of this type of work. So I purposely grew out my nails, and they cut them at weird angles, and so you have to be careful, when you go to brush your teeth so you don't snag yourself and go to work bloody. But I would work all night, and first thing I would wake up, and it would be in the afternoon. I would stumble across the street, dead tired, to a P.F. Chang's, but my fingernails are all cut up. My face is completely red and raw because I have a prosthetic from my abdomen up to my head that's glued down with medical adhesive. And once it's down, anytime you move, it's stretching and pulling that skin, so you're constant discomfort. So these poor waitresses, I would roll in the morning, dead tired, not morning, but afternoon, and be like, yeah, can I get a broccoli beef with white rice, please? And they're like, sir, do you need money or for your cup, or do you want? And I'm like, oh, no, I'm a professional actor. I'm working on a horror movie. And they're like, okay, that's great. You're going to stay in this section away from all of us? And I'm like, oh, no. So, yeah, I was thrashed, but that whole mentality of pain is temporary, film is forever. I get to be Jason, and I'm like, whatever blood, sweat, and tears you're going to give me, I'll do it. That sounds awesome.
Absolutely. One thing that I wanted to ask, it said
I'm going to stand up. I'm bored like this. I want to make sure everyone can see.
It said that Travis Van Winkle's character, Trent,
Yes.
is the same Trent from Transformers.
Same name, not the same character.
There it's clarified.
Eat it, fools. Another thing about Travis really fast, so much of his stuff was improvised. He was like the blonde-haired rich dude who everyone absolutely hates. I can't tell you how many fans at my table will come over and go, man, that one guy who played Trent, I can hate that guy. And I go, can I tell you, out of all the people that I know, he is the most down-to-earth, sweetest human dude, where he walks the walk and talks the talk. On his free time, he'll go and raise money for his own charity, and he himself will man a group to go over to third world countries and build waterways and schools and uses that money for that to help people. And I'm like, come on, man, you're making all of us look terrible. But he is the sweetest dude in the world. And a lot of stuff that you saw in the film, it's like behind the scenes stuff. Like the one point where he's running and he loses the gun and the gun falls into the water. Gun, where are you? Completely improvised. The gun wasn't supposed to fall out because I was supposed to kill him later on on the back of the tow truck. Well, I pick him up, and he's supposed to have the gun still, and he's supposed to be firing as I slam him on. He's firing his gun at the spasms. But because he accidentally lost it during the water scene, they go, no, we're going to keep it right there. That's where we're going to lose the gun. Because that's a much better choice. His high-pitched scream when they hit the car, is that girl like, ah! Him screwing around with all of us, like making us laugh. We're like, nope, that's going to stay in there. But the hard part, there's no young children, cool. The hard part is like me playing Jason when he's doing like some of the love scenes. I'm outside the window because in a different cut, Whitney is supposed to escape and run towards the window. And right before she gets to the window, I grab her and pull her away because she thinks that she's okay. But as they're doing it in between stuff, I'm trying to stay in character. And Travis is sitting there because a lot of like the nudie TNA lines, like he's improvising, and he's like, "You don't understand that everyone thinks, oh, love scenes are so hot. They're not. This is terrible. I'm raw. They keep grinding on me, and this is terrible. Why do people write these?" So freaking funny, and they're arguing about how to do it correctly, and I'm literally outside going, "I'm gonna murder both you guys. Like I swear to God, like I'm trying to pretend murder somebody. Let's be professional." Yeah, so funny.
Awesome. We can open it for a couple questions from the audience. So let's switch.
Yeah, I'll go out with people, and then I'll hold it, and then I'll come back and answer in front of everybody. How about that?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Deal. If anybody has any questions, we're all fans. Like, feel free to raise it, like right in the front, brother.
Hey, I'm a practicing storyboard artist, and I don't actually work too much with the horror milieu, but I was wondering, like, how much of your work do you get to improvise, or how many shots are, like, determined ahead of time that you're like, ah, man, I really wish I could do it a different way? Like, how much of the shot do you get to really, like, interpret and control?
Well, it's a give and take with everybody. Every set is different, where you'll have a little more leeway, or a lot of times with the final answer is up to the director. Like that's his vision, director/producers. For myself, a lot of times I'll tell people, I go, look, and I go, from time to time, like I want to try new things in the scenes. I don't like to pre-plan what's going to happen because I want to be surprised, and it makes me in the moment, so I'm not just pre-thinking, or I have to hyper listen to what's going on. And so with those things, I try to tell them ahead, I go, hey, since we haven't worked together before, I don't know what's going to happen. I go, but if I have anything that I suggest, it's the betterment of the story. Please understand it's never about my own ego or anything like that, where feel free to say no, but I don't want to sound like I'm the guy going, hey, this is what we're going to do in this scene. But it did get to the point on when we did Friday, there are certain scenes, because they knew I was a huge like nut for Jason, where they would set a scene up, and at one point, one of our producers had like a toothpick in his mouth all the time. Was always twitching around because he's stressed and like thinking about things. At one point, we set a scene up, and he looks over at me, and I'm doing this, and he walks over and he goes, "What?" And I go, "It doesn't work." And he goes, "Why?" And structurally with the story, I would explain, but also knowing the mythos of the character and explaining that, of why he wouldn't do what they wanted him to do in the scene. And he literally went, "All right, we're changing the scene for Mears, everybody." And I'm like, yeah, eat it. But yeah, it's a give and take on shows, but there's different hierarchies. There's different, like, there even sometimes I've been on other films where I will have like a producer come over and like give me a note. Then I'll have the director come over and give me a completely opposite note, and then have the studio come over and then then the other two notes, where I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Like there is something going on between people. I'm gonna do what I think is right. And because my makeup artist at one point on that show that I'm talking about, he goes, like, what are you gonna do? Like, oh my God, that's like your three bosses all have different notes. I go, I think I know what's going on. I'm gonna do what I think is best. Watch. I went and did the scene what I thought was right, and they yelled cut. I looked over to the producers. They go. Looked over to the director. He's like, "You're my guy. You're my." I looked over at the studio, and they're like, and I'm like, I looked over at my friend. He's like, "What the fuck, dude?" I go, "Yep." Yeah, insane. Yeah. Sorry. Wherever you want me to go, you tell me.
So what would be your most athletically engaging film you've ever done?
Oh, that is a good question. A lot of them are just survival. A lot of it, which is crazy because people don't understand, especially if you're doing prosthetics. I bounce through my normal face and doing monsters from time to time. And when you're doing the prosthetics or the suit work, like it's not easy. The reason I get hired is because sometimes people will get hired and they pass out or they'll freak out and they don't understand the level of athleticism that you have to do just to survive the suit. Because a lot of times also, like Swamp Thing, for example, I'm sealed inside of a suit from head to toe, but when I'm doing emotional scenes and being that he's going through an existential crisis, my body doesn't know the difference. I'm lying to my body, so my body thinks it's happening, even to the point when the film or the TV show came out, there's a scene where Swamp Thing's being tortured, and as I'm watching it on my home TV, my arm starts to twitch and do this, and I go, why is oh, I lied to my body about the trauma, and it's tying back in because I'm reliving it right now because I made it so real for myself. When I was like, oh, that's crazy. But the most athletic, the toughest job I've ever done was a movie called Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters with Jeremy Renner, where I played like the giant 9-foot troll. The short end of the story is they wanted to originally CG the character, but we had the team to do it practical. And the suit was like a 200 and something pound, like the way I describe it to people, so imagine wearing, maybe 9 foot with the lifts, like they're like 2 foot lifts, wearing a 200-pound backpack on yourself, putting a black trash bag over your head, zip tying it, and then running on a treadmill. It was because you're breathing your own carbon dioxide, like your body doesn't have the clean oxygen, you're literally trying to stay alive. But I was like an MMA fight shape, knowing what I had to go through. And out of a 3-month shoot in Berlin, week 1, the helmet was so heavy that it snapped my neck. And I had a herniated disc in my neck. And the producers were freaking out, going, what do we do? Like, we have to shoot tomorrow. Like, what do we? And I go, look, I told you I'd give you blood. And they go, if things went sour, I go, this is the put up or shut up. And they go, Derek, every time we put this on you, it's going to compress your spine and crush your neck. And I go, yeah. So I end up getting like spinal injections, kind of like, remember in Empire Strikes Back where Han Solo's captured and they have those needles and he's getting stabbed with the needles for the interrogation? They had that for my back, where they're literally stabbing into my back, trying to get through the job. And my whole right side atrophied for about a year. I used to be do super slow, like controlled 21 L pull-ups with your legs straight and going so slow, couldn't do one pull-up. Everything was just broken. And I'm still not 100% back to normal, but that's one of the things where people don't understand the things that you go through trying to create the art that you love. But then when people recognize or appreciate it, when they see it as not as me, but its own individual character, that's the reward. That's what we're doing this for, where it's like, yeah, I want you, that's commitment to, the art that we love. So thank you very much for that question.
So as both an industry professional and a cinephile, is there anything about working behind the scenes in Hollywood that has changed the way that you enjoy and consume media?
Great questions, guys. We should all hang out. I love this. So the question is there anything that I've learned in Hollywood that has altered the way that I consume or enjoy media? I think it's to the point, like my wife and I, we watch an anime in the morning and a horror movie at night. I married the right woman. I'm like, you don't exist on paper. I go, what is going on? But what I've learned over the years, I love all styles of horror. It doesn't have to be even good. I love schlock horror because I can see what their passion is and what they're trying to do. Sure, professionally, I could break it down and break it all apart, just break the story structure and figure out, why things aren't working, if they're not working in the scenes. But I've kind of gotten to the point with some of those films where it's never a judgment on the creators, because anytime I watch something that, even if it's terrible, I'm like, look, I've never made my own film by myself out of passion. I go, with respect, I go, hats off to you. With that said, let's see what we got. And so when I watch these films, I've gotten to the point now, rather than being hypercritical, I'm going, did you enjoy it? Were you entertained or not? And at the very end, I'm like, yeah, what, the booger poo-poo monster pea man? And I'm like, yeah, all right, that is insane. And I think also for my job that we're expected on these multi-million-dollar films to hit bullseyes over and over again with our opposite hand blindfolded, that when I watch some of these super low budget, I'm still entertained, but not in a judgment like you suck sort of way. But I'm like, well, what's your close-up? Your close-up is here? With a giant white wall, and that's you're barely. And I'm like, oh yeah, oh no, this is good. but I think it's part of that pressure that I put on myself because I always feel I'm a fan representing fans. And if you don't do it accurately, we all know. Even if you're playing like a different trade, like if I play a cowboy, if I cinch my saddle incorrectly, someone who's watching the film is going to be a cowboy and go, nope. And now they're out of the movie. So I have to do all the research to make sure everyone is taken care of. And I put all this unneeded pressure on myself. So when I watch somebody going like, oh, you didn't even finish writing the scene, and you're like, hi, what's going on? Look out, monsters. And you're like, what? I don't know who we are. I don't know where we are. Like, what? You just started to look out monsters, and now we're seeing monsters. I'm like, okay, this is fun. I'm enjoying this. So, great question, my friend. Thank you. Any more questions? Boop, ba-da-doop, boop.
How was it working with Jared Padalecki?
If you are a fan of Mr. Padalecki, be a fan of that gentleman. He is a good, old-fashioned, humble, down-to-earth Texas boy. And for you ladies and gentlemen, he is built like an Adonis, and his abs are like human speed bumps. Like, it is, there are times where I'm like, come on, man, like, can you, like, he had this one, a shirt that he wore that was super thin, but being it was so hot at the time, he would have to every take, change his shirt or whatever, and he was so humble he would take it off, and some of the crew members would walk by, his shirt's off, and they're like, oh, hey, man. He said, oh, come on, guys, like, don't. But that dude is an absolute talent, man. Like he cares about people, and I try to spread that word as much as I can because he's a good human being. Any more questions?
Could you speak a little bit about working with David Lynch on Twin Peaks: The Return? Thank you.
With David, I was so blown away. Again, most of my life, I feel like I've lived 1,000 lives. I've got to work with so many of the greats where I'm like, oh, you know I exist? Oh, you like my work? How did I do this? But working with David was such a special thing where everybody on set, by the way, had their own Lynch impression. Which was amazing, and hearing everyone do their different versions. And he would call us all by our character names rather than our real names. So there are times where like, Renzo, where's Renzo? And I'm like, David's calling me. But when I showed up to set, David, I've been on lockdown movies before where nothing escapes, like you're not supposed to talk about it at all. Like I've done Indiana Jones, like where it's like, once you have your call sheet, you read it, burn it. Because they don't want anything escaping. So I would go to crew members when I got hired for Twin Peaks, and I go, hey man, is this like a, like is it a movie? Is it a TV show? What version? And they would do this. And walk away. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, so when I met with David for the first time, Dave was like, so what do you think about the scene? And I'm like, brother, all I know is, I don't know anything else that's going on in the entire story. All I know is that Kyle MacLachlan and I are now going to arm wrestle for my biker gang. He has a leather jacket and a mullet, and he is super strong. And he's like, that's great. And I started howling. I go, what? He's like, let's go play around. Let's figure out. I'm like, okay. So when I wrapped, I'll tell you a personal moment. When I wrapped the movie, or the TV show, I went to David. I go, David, I can't thank you enough for giving me this opportunity and being able to work with you. And I just thank you so much. I go, but the biggest compliment I want to give you is I applaud you for the family that you created between cast and crew, because everyone is so loyal to you that like they wouldn't spill anything to me about even what this was. And he goes, oh, well, thank you very much. She goes, just know this. You're a part of that family now too. And I literally like whoa, like the tear hit that. I'm like, okay, losing the tough guy image. Okay, nope. But just a beautiful experience. And sadly, he has passed. But again, like that's why I come out to these shows. 'Cause as a fan, I get to experience all this with my art. But then I try to come to these shows and pull the Hollywood curtain of Oz because I want to share it with everybody. Same thing with my stories, where I work with celebrities, but a lot of times I don't care. But then I'll go to a horror con, and I'm like, what's that, Lance Henriksen? Oh, we're friends? And you want to go to dinner and tell me what really happened on Aliens that you can't tell the general public? I'm a normal person. I'm not shaking at all. Yep. Okay. this is awesome. So that's why a lot of times with some of my stuff, I'll tell people stories. I'm like, just don't post about it, because then I can't tell the stories anymore. And to this day, not one horror fan has spilled the beans on most of my stories, so I'm stoked. Any more questions at all? No, sorry. Hi, guys, feel free. Come on in. We're telling dirty stories. It's fun.
You mentioned being into D&D. Do you have a favorite D&D character that you've played?
Hey, Derek, are you a nerd? Tell me some nerd stuff. Okay, that's fair. No, I've been playing D&D for a long time. That's actually how I got into acting, where I'm like, I remember at one point my mom asked me, she goes, what do you want to do when you grow up? I go, well, I don't need to be rich or famous. I go, I just want to make enough to survive and create with my friends, like this. But acting was the closest thing to it. I play 2 games a week. With the characters I play, I've played so many different characters, and a lot of the guys that I get to play with are like either like name actors or professional writers. A lot of them are all professional improvisers, like some of the guys from Who's Line, guys from the Thunderman. We have so much fun because it's not just the regular game. We'll do subtext and subplots and tie them in ourselves, and everyone is really good at what they do. And so it's so much fun because we'll have our own, kind of private time and like make each other laugh. But right now we started playing we went back to the old schools game, so we went back to the classics, so we're not doing the newer stuff where it's so fun because when we're not there, one of the other players will play our characters, so you get to see them doing their versions of you and your voice in the character. But right now, my favorite, I've made this sweet little fiery redhead halfling named Oliver Owlheart. He is a paladin, but he's trying to do the best that he can. Like, oh, jeepers, we're in a lot of trouble, guys. And like completely opposite to what I am. But then when you hear your friends do that character and make choices that your character would do, and you're like, that's really, I think you play him better than I do. Like, that's awesome. But right now, that's my main one that I'm doing, and it's just so much fun because like when you see your friends, like when you start playing the character, when they're not in the scenes, but they start to smile and giggle, and you're like, all right, this is fun. This is a lot of fun. But thank you for your question. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, how do you interpret the ending of Friday the 13th?
The one that I did?
Yes.
Oh, I'll tell you. I'll tell you.
Is it a nightmare, or do you really come up and kill them?
That is correct. So what we did was, similar to, if you remember the original Friday the 13th, at the very end, when you first watch it, or when I did as a kid, you don't know if it's real or not. Is it a dream? Is it not a dream? So when you watch the one that we did the homage to the original, where if you notice, it's a different film stock. It's a different, so it's a little bit different. So what we wanted people to do was have that interpretation again, where it's like, was it real? Was it not real? Like, we don't know. And so it sparks that debate because art's subjective. Is like, how do you see it? So it lets people think about it. But I will tell you, I read the script for part 2 because we were supposed to immediately roll into part 2 the next year, but we did not, unfortunately. But the original script that Swift and Shannon wrote, it opened in the snow. And there are things where you see what happened to some of the other characters because they didn't know people's contracts, did they come back or not? Or I always thought it would be so cool that if they, for Padalecki, if, personal stuff again, I probably talk way too much than I should have. How'd you get fired from working in Hollywood? Well, I told a story. Tyler Maine is one of my best friends who plays Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's Halloween. And we were friends before I was Jason, before he was Michael. And when Halloween 2 came out, I'm like, you son of a bitch. And he's like, what? I go, dude, like with your jacket, with the homeless Michael with the hood and whatnot. I go, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to pitch for the sequel is when he's in the snow to have Jason have like a hood thing on so you can see the mask so you're not sure it's him at first or have that reveal. I go, what I thought would be really cool since Padalecki and I are similar sizes, he's 6'4" and I'm 6'5", if the new Jason jacket, how they change it for every show, if he had Clay's jacket, like a messed up version of that with like a hood sewed crappily on the back so you knew what happened to Clay. And I was like, I hate you so much. I'm sorry, man, it's the way it goes. And I'm like, jerk. But we didn't end up doing it at all, so again, hats off to him.
So you didn't kill Jared?
It's up in the air. It's up in the air, as it is right now.
We have a few more minutes. Did you want to talk a little bit about your new project coming out next month, Shelby Oates?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm still a working actor. But next month I have a really cool project. I haven't done a horror movie for a while. I've been working on some other projects. But I'm in a movie that comes out October 24th nationwide called Shelby Oaks. The director, creator, his name is Chris Stuckman. He was originally a YouTube reviewer influencer. Well, I hate saying influencer because he's not, it's part of what he does, but he's actually a true artist. I fell upon him at one point where it popped up for a movie I just watched, and he was structurally breaking it down. I go, oh, this guy's actually a pro because he understands like the story structure and how, you know, with TV and film, we're telling modern myths, it's modern mythology. And he understood that. And there's even sometimes like he would review films where I'm like, oh, I never thought about that angle. I go, oh, he would give me information. I was like, I really respect this guy. So apparently what he did was he did a crowdfunding where they raised like $1.5 million. When at the time it was like the highest of all raised for funding with all the backers. And so he went and shot a film. It did the festival circuit in 2024. It performed very well. But the production company, the hot company now, Neon, stepped in and went, we want to buy it, but also we're going to double your budget. What would you do if you were going to do, like, you know, if you had reshoots to Chris, like, what would you do for those reshoots? And Chris had everything laid out structurally why. They're like, okay, that's what we're going to do. So that's how I got involved. Like, for the reshoots, they brought me in. I'm not going to say what I do or what I play, because I'm not allowed to, and I don't want to spoil it for everybody, so I want everyone to be surprised. But I was really impressed with his work ethic and how he executed his ideas and communicated with everybody. But also he's so humble where right now they're doing screenings for all the backers. He's like, he would talk about how I've never asked my followers for anything. And when people stepped up to help me out with this, I want to make sure that people feel that they're a part of this film, going like, you put this on here together. And he wanted to be respectful, so the film comes out next month, but he's been doing a tour like in Austin, LA, New York, for the backers and just showing the movie before anyone else gets to see it, going like, this is what you paid for, thank you. But he spent time with every single person and shaking their hand and letting them know how important it was. And I have nothing but respect for this guy because he's also getting flack because people who are jealous are like, hey, he's an influencer. Like, what do you mean? So now you're actually, you know, directing? I thought you would, what? And they would like give him crap about it. It's like, hey man, like we're all artists and we all want to move forward. And I respect this guy from going against the system and coming out of it and creating. So I hope people like it. I haven't seen it myself yet. I hope it's good. But yeah, I'm excited about it coming out next month.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. So everybody, thank you so much for coming out today. This is Derek Mears, the wonderful, wonderful Derek Mears.
Thank you. Also, if it's okay, please keep the applause going for yourselves because we're all horror fans, man. And as an actor,
Yeah.
I've been through so many like subcategories of fandoms, and the horror fans, like, please know, like, because you don't get experience like I do. We have such a special group here. Like, the way that everyone cares about each other. I don't know if it's because we felt like we're outcasts or like not socially accepted for what we love. But when you come to a horror con and seeing people, like we had an incident at a table where someone fell ill, and everybody at the table in line was so freaking cool and supportive. No one's like, hey man, we gotta hurry up. I want to get my stuff. They're like, take your time. Totally cool. Everyone cares about each other. So it's such a special community, and that's why I try to share everything through my eyes. Like, thank you for being so kind to each other, and please give a round of applause for everyone sitting around you, because being kind is the way to go right now since the world is on fire. But thank you so much for coming out, guys. Have a great time at the show. Thank you, guys.